Hi, this is John Ruggiero. This is part three of a series of how to use a track to have a one-on-one conversation with someone. It's an easy, enjoyable, and effective way of witnessing to someone. It's very easy. You just hand them the track. Are you a good person? And instead of saying, "Here you go, ma'am. Here you go, sir," you hand them the track. Say, "Here you go, ma'am. Here you go, sir. I have a question for you. Are you a good person?" And say, "Yes." Are you willing to take the good person test? God has a good person test called the Ten Commandments. If they say yes, guess what? You're in a one-on-one conversation with someone. So one of the clarification from part two is that for the few people that have not fornicated, you want to go, have you looked at pornography? Have you lusted after women? Jesus said the same thing is actually doing it. So for a few people who are virgins or who have never committed, who are virgins, who have never committed fornication or adultery, you hit them with that. Have you ever looked at pornography? Have you ever lusted after women? Generally, most people, especially men, will say yes. And how many times have you done that? What does that make you a fornicator? Okay, so at least in my experience, those four sins. Have you ever lied? Have you ever stolen anything? Have you ever fornicated or ever blasphemed? It's sufficient enough to establish the fact they are a sinner, and not only that, but the specific sin of being a liar, being a thief, being a fornicator, being a blasphemer. For the few people who say no to all those, then you can use the other commandments. One of the commandments that I like to use is you should not have any idols before you. Oh, sorry, you should not make yourself an idol. And most people, when they hear that, say, "Well, I don't have a statue of Buddha in my house, so I must not have any idols." But whatever gives you peace, whatever you go to soothe your soul, to give you peace, or to give you life, that's your idol. Most people get more excited about the football team or the baseball team or the job or money than they are about God. That's an idol. So anything that gives you life, that what you go to relieve the internal pain or to soothe your soul or give you peace, whatever you go to take away the pain, so about mental and physical mental pain, that is your idol. If you have depressed or you're depressed and you go to something to get you undepressed, that's your idol. So you really want to help clarify people about what an idol is, because most really people have idols because they go to something else besides God to soothe their soul and to give them life. Another one you can go to is honor your father or mother. Have you honored your father or mother? Most people will say yes. Well, you want them to think about it, because honoring your parents means valuing them. Do you value them? Do you value their insight? Do you value their wisdom? Do you value their judgment? Have you obeyed them, especially as a child? Because if you value your parents, the expression of that value is obedience, because you trust them. And it's not so much as you're honoring the physical mom and dad, you're honoring the position of mother and father that God gave you when they gave when it gave the parents to you. So you're not only honoring, not as much honoring the people, because people are kind of messed up, even parents, even mother and fathers, but you're honoring the position that God placed in your life. Do you value that? Do you honor that? Now, most people, if you put it like that, will say no. Another one to go to is you shall not covet. Covet is to want something that someone else has. And the reason why that's such a sin for, because you're not thankful for what God has given you. You think something else will give you life, something else will make you happy, something else will give you joy besides what God has already given you. So you want what they had, and you're unthankful for what you have. That's why it's such a sin of coveting, because you're unthankful for what God has given you. And another big one is remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Whether you have the Sabbath day on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, is the day where you dedicate to God. Where you think about God, well, that's your kind of your top priority. One of the manifestations of that is going to church on a consistent basis. That's a way of really valuing God and giving Him honor by taking the time and going to church. But really, it's the time where you really spend the time where your priority is focusing on God. And most people really, if they get honest, they haven't done that. So Those are the kind of the other commandments you can go to if the first four didn't do it: lying, stealing, blaspheming, and fornication. That's part 3. Part 4 will cover what the next step is once they realize that they have sinned, specifically liar, fornicator, blasphemer, and lying and stealing. So again, those are the main 4, which usually works. You can go to the other ones if they don't. But the next one will cover what's the next step. Thank you.